Uncommon, Ian Boothby. He's actually part of our network,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
JIA network, Josh, Ian, and Ariana, because we're all still recording together. So he wrote his first poem again, which was really, really good. And he said I actually inspired him, so I felt pretty good about that.
That's great, and I'm tickled to hear Ian going into that, because I've appeared on his podcast several times. He's a great guy, and it makes me happy that he's exploring another avenue of creativity. And you're absolutely right. This whole thing with what we call on my show the My Sharona Miley Cyrus Peter pandemic, because we don't want to get demonetized on YouTube for calling it what it really is. But during this time, and here's the benefit, I'm a big advocate of self-publishing.
Mm-hmm.
I have been published by others, such as Cherry House Press, but primarily my business is Rising Tide Publications. The nice thing about being an independent publisher during this time is, the minute that this whole thing started snowballing, this whole C-19 thing going, that people were saying, we've got to have board meetings, we've got to check with legal, we've got to talk to our lawyers, we've got to, have marketing, get a Zoom meeting going with marketing. And these big dinosaurs of publishers are so bound in their procedures that, it's like trying to, take a battleship down the Indy 500. It just can't navigate those turns very well. But people like you, people like me, the minute this happens, we're like, okay, here's the situation. We can turn on a dime and change our business. And I will say that with the help of promotion, with the help of great networking, that my business has not dropped off during this time. In fact, my business has gotten stronger.
That's great. That's awesome.
Thank you. But it's a matter of constantly staying on top of things, constantly promoting yourself, putting yourself out there. And here's the thing, for anyone who wants to do a broadcast such as my Nevermind the Furthermore, the thing is just go out there and just let people get to know you. In fact, I have a couple people that regularly come onto the show and put in my links to my books because I'm so busy promoting other people that I keep forgetting to do my own.
That's nice.
Which could be a sign of my advancing years, but the thing is, I just get into helping other people so much on the show, and people really, once they know you and learn to like you and respect you, they will check out what you do. I heard a story about a lady who's a writer, and she was a romance writer, and she was always putting out these videos like she was some sort of 1950s housefrau, perfect hair, perfect dress, perfect setting, and she did it in her lovely designer kitchen.
Oh my gosh.
And she spoke so eloquently about her work and how she'd read portions of it. Well, one day she did a live broadcast like I do, and her sink sprang a leak.
Oh no.
And rather than turn off the camera, she forgot about that and was, of course, trying to stem the flood of water coming into her kitchen. And she apparently is her hair is matted, her dress is soaking wet. She's swearing like a Marine on leave.
Oh, gosh.
And she comes back the next time, and her video had gone viral, and her viewership just shot through the roof and stayed there.
Oh my gosh! Wow, that's awesome.
It is, and and that's the message: be yourself on camera.
Yes.
Let people know you, and it's just like like when you're in public at a personal appearance. Put your best self forward. Of course, people don't need to. Hear that I swear like a long-distance trucker or anything. So I try to keep that down to a minimum on my show.
Yes.
But, when I'm in person, I try not to present the less savory aspects of my personality, let's say. But it's just a matter of but letting your real self shine through, and people can see that. People can see when you're putting on airs. And,
oh yeah.
If there's one thing nobody can accuse me of when I'm broadcasting or promoting, I'm putting on airs. That's for sure.
No, you are definitely who you see Brian on broadcasting. That's who you see when you see him in person.
That's true, and Lord help him.
Well, I do say I'm pretty much myself, but I am a little bit braver behind the screen in front of a microphone where nobody sees me than I am in person. But I mean, I don't mind talking to people. I was in social work for 12 years, and I did do drama back in high school. But I still every once in a while get nervous at talking to new people, and I'm always afraid that, of course, an artist, a writer, we're all our own worst critics. So. When I'm trying to share a book, I always feel like, oh, this isn't very good, and I'm trying to get this person to buy it, and then Josh is like, oh, because your stuff's good, just tell them about it.
Right. No, he's absolutely right, and you have touched on something that we talk about all the time on my shows, and that's imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
You have a thriving publishing company. You have put out videos. You have put out books. I have a couple books that have sold in Europe and Asia.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was as surprised as anyone. I've never been to Europe or Asia. I've never done anything over there to promote myself. But somebody found my work and bought it. Yay, thank you, my foreign friends. But and there's, every now and then I'm thinking, like, why are these people tuning into my show? I'm just me.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes you just, you get, there are people like on the internet. I follow a number of writers. I've become friends with a number of them who are way up the ladder. I shouldn't even be able to talk to them. They're that high up.
Oh, wow.
But, they're just like me. They're just like you. They're people too. But there's this little voice that says, what have you done to deserve their respect, their time, their attention? And I have to remind myself, well, I have done things. I put out books. I put out 7 books of my own, and I'm published in almost that many more anthologies in other places. Plus, I've had magazine articles come out. I used to be a playwright.
Mm-hmm.
I have done things. I'm not saying I'm Stephen King. I'm not quite that scary. But, I'm not.
No, you are not scary.
Stephen King.
No, you're not scary.
One works at it.
We all wish that we could sell the number of books that Stephen King has wrote, or Daniel Steele.
Oh, exactly. And here's something that a lot of people don't know about self-publishing is that per unit, per book, you and I make more off of our books than those bigger names do. Now, the thing is, they have volume.
Uh-huh.
Even on a bad day, they probably sell more books than both you and me combined tenfold.
Yeah.
But that's because they've worked at it for a long, long time. They have built their brand. They have become the name by which their genre is defined.
Uh-huh.
You think of thrillers. You think of James Patterson.
Mm-hmm.
You think of Treasure Quest. You would think of Clive Cussler. There are names who are at the forefront of their type of writing. And unfortunately, folks like us get compared to them all the time, and it's not fair to us.
Mm-hmm.
But these men and women have built their brand over the years. There was a time when Stephen King was just this disgruntled English teacher in Maine before lightning struck, and with persistence, he got into print and became a major celebrity. So, and it could happen to anyone, but the nice thing is, again, going back to self-publishing, you make more per unit, than, most of these big names make on theirs. And the thing is, it could happen to anyone that makes the big time from self-publishing. Can you tell I'm a little worked up over this?
Yeah.
Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Yes.
That's an empire now.
It is.
It started out self-published.
Wow. I did not know that, Brian. And those are
truth.
Yeah, and those are some of my favorite ones I like to read. There's like Chicken Soup for the Soul, Chicken Soup for everything.
Oh my goodness,
graduates. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, it's,
You name it, they've got a chicken soup for it.
oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, and that's also a very good place to submit your writing
Yes,
if
it
you're a new
is.
writer, because they are constantly, the beast needs to be fed,
Mm-hmm.
and they are constantly putting out new material. So that is another thing. Keep an eye on the market. There are
Yes.
places out there that will publish you, and it's, if you're more interested in being published by someone else, but you need to build your resume, send your work out to some of these places. Some will pay, most will not, but you're building your resume.
Yes.
And as you go on, you do some of this writing for free, and then you just keep networking,
Yeah.
contacting other writers, meeting them at shows, getting
Mm-hmm.
their cards, staying in touch, following them on social media.
Definitely.
And then one day, somebody's going to say, hey, listen, I'd like you to write for me. Here's $10,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. Then it gets to be $20, and you work, you get paid. It starts out you work, then eventually you work and get paid.
Yeah.
Work, get paid. Work, get paid. Work, paid.
Mm-hmm.
Work, paid. Then you
I
work,
will mention
get paid.
the first one pet peeve I do have. If you're just starting out, or even if you're just contacting a publisher for the first time, or even to be in their anthology, please do not ask, what am I going to get paid? Do I get anything?
Oh,
I hate that.
yeah. No, I agree, and I get that too. I get a number of submissions for Rising Tide Publications, and we're honestly not in a position right now where we can pay advances. We're looking to be in that position fairly soon. But our publishing other people at this point is kind of experimental, and with a very forgiving crowd, I'm glad to say. But yeah, the thing is, a lot of magazines will post their writers' guidelines, and the thing is, if they don't, then write them. And if you're a new author, new writer, write to them and say, do you have any writers' guidelines? And check out what they do. If, like, for instance, the first 7 years of Rising Tide, you'll notice only one name on all the books.
I wonder what that was.
I don't know. Somebody who knows my wife pretty thoroughly. But I'm going to get that guy. But anyway, no, seriously, bad Brian. But no, you see, a number of, books from the same publisher with the same name. You're going to figure out that that's self-publishing.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, if nothing else, write that publisher and say,
Yes.
do you have any writer's guidelines? And the worst they can do is tell you, no, we don't, because we only publish ourselves. And some will have, ways to submit to them. They may say, okay, we want to see, bullet points. We may want to see a short synopsis. We may want to see the first chapter or X number of pages or just an elevator pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when they say this, people, don't think, well, how can I shortcut the process? No. This is the shortcut. Because a lot of publishing houses, large and small, their primary purpose is to put out books on time, to get out to the stores, to sell, to promote and such. Finding new authors is what they do when they run out of things to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's not their primary goal in the day is not to discover you. It's to get the product out that they've already got in the pipeline. And some writers' guidelines will say, well, we do not accept submissions at this time, that sort of thing. And that saves you a boatload of energy, because then you don't have to write to see if they're interested in your work, because they're not interested in anyone's work, or they can't get to it, or they can generate it all in-house. So checking out the writing guidelines for any given publisher is very, very useful. For instance, I also write comic books occasionally for the independent press. But I know better than to send anything to Marvel or DC, because they say right in their legal information, so-and-so title, issue so-and-so, published by so-and-so company. We do not accept unsolicited manuscripts or story ideas at this time. Mm-hmm. That means they're a closed house. Why waste your energy on that? So, like I said, make it as easy as your editor and your publisher as possible. Don't pester them. Don't be asking them when they're going to be paid.
Yeah.
Don't be sending your stuff that you think it's great, but they don't have the time to read it.
Mm-hmm.
So say, a lot of this is strategy, and it's not like you're invading a small